Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota Podcast. It's your number one cricketing podcast here coming out of South Africa. We talk all things South African cricket and domestic cricket as well. So we're in that mode. It's the final week of the 2023-2024 season. We've now entered the final week, and we are so excited because some of us want to break. I don't know about Tim, but Tim's watching county cricket, so his break doesn't continue like that. But before we do anything, please, as the strapline says, follow us on X at Full Quarter Pod. Subscribe to the One World Sports Radio YouTube channel. We're also live on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify if you want an audio version instead of a video version, because sometimes free YouTube, makes it a little hard for you to follow us. But if you love seeing our faces, you love seeing our graphics, that'll be your best place to be. Remember, like and subscribe, leave a comment on all the platforms. We're building a following on Spotify, which is awesome. And yeah, just keep going, keep putting up the comments, keep sharing as widely as possible. If you want to know, we're going to go into World Cup mode after this week, which is going to be really good. We're going to be interviewing everybody around the sun in relation to the World Cup, maybe some South Africans playing in other countries, as well as the teams that we might be facing. So we might have a third edition of the South Africa versus Netherlands pod, where finally this time we can actually beat the Netherlands. And the IPL is going on. We'll watch it and see how the players are doing, and we're going to talk about that in terms of squad selection later on. So exciting couple of weeks coming through as we enter the final week. There's also some rumors and some things happening out there in terms of the domestic season. So there's a lot of stuff to be talking about. Before we do anything else, I don't come alone. I like having soliloquies, but Tim's always here. So Tim, how are you?
I'm doing good, but I'm doing good. I obviously know what's happening over the next few weeks, but that intro's whetted my appetite for what we have in store.
Yes, so yes, because we're gonna do a movement show, and we're gonna be like, who moved where? And I know you guys are seeing it on Twitter, but we come here, like and subscribe. Come here, we'll give you the rationale, the reasoning. Some team that I said should be relegated, but they won't be relegated. They've already made news. They've terminated contracts. This week I was sitting on the weekend. I'm like, wait, they've already started. Like the season hadn't ended because they were playing the final game yesterday. And so like guys are terminating contracts. Guys are already signing new contracts. The new year started on the 1st of April. So that's what's going on. But what's happened this week, Tim? A lot has happened, right? And we're going to have a segment at the back end. We're going to put in a new thing that's a new thing called for Tim, called the County Cricket Corner. We're going to do that. But for the first thing, we just want to talk about what happened this week. The most important things is the SA women, the Proteas women against Sri Lanka women. They drew that ODI series. Yes, the one game was rained out of a no result, and South Africa had a healthy run total, and you got to take that into account. However, what we saw in the next couple of games was a very dominant performance in where they're playing Kimberley, where they won that game. And then the next game, which I think riles me up a lot, the South African women put down 301, and Sri Lanka chased that down with 30 balls to spare. Laura Volfart scoring a magnificent 181, but if you look at that scorecard, outside of Marizon Cup, nobody else contributes, which is a frustration of mine. On top of that, you are defending 300, which is like one of the big record scores, or very high score. It's a winnable score. When you put 300 down, you should be winning. And you don't win and you get beaten. They get to the target with 30 runs to spare. I understand the ground is large. I get it. I understand we're in a bit of a rebuild with our bowlers, right? And but But this is a sign. Congratulations to Sri Lanka on winning, by the way, and Shamari Attapaji played really, really well. But we cannot paper over the cracks of what is going on with this team. Something is fundamentally wrong with this team, and we're carrying passengers. Some players who were former captains, some players who've been in the setup for over 10 years, we're carrying passengers, and it's starting to show. Well, it's not starting to show. We're now here, right? We're still number 2 on the CSA on the ICC Women's Championship log, which is great. But this time for us as a cricketing nation to have a very frank conversation about our South African women's cricket team, because something needs to happen. It isn't happening. I've asked, and I truly and highly respect Hilton Meringue. He's been on this podcast before. I think he's a great coach. But I think it's time we need to maybe look in a different direction, just a fresh face. Maybe even move Hilton up into the development. So he can develop a pipeline of coaches as the director of women's cricket. But we need some fresh faces in there. We need some impetus, because we've tried Lara Goodall. She didn't do well in her 2 start with Tasman injured. We've tried Annika Bosch. She's not doing really well. Sune Lees isn't doing really well. I understand Chloe Tryon is injured, but you can't be sitting there using that as an excuse, right? The top 6, the South African batting lineup over the last 2 years, even like for the last, like before the last World Cup, was what their calling card was. We could bat teams out of games, and we could hold on with the bowling. You can't blame the bowling for this. The only thing I can say with the bowling is that it just shows where your development is. There's no pipeline of quicks coming through. Dumi has lost a lot of pace, so she's not the next person to come in, but she's in and around the setup. Aya looks hot and cold at times, even though she's very good. The only person we're leaning on is Marizan. How long do we have with Marizan with this thing going on? And that's my frustration as a momentum, as not a momentum. Yeah, I'm still calling momentum Proteas. At a Proteas woman fan, my frustration is, what's the plan, guys? There's no plan. I can see that there's no plan. Where's plan B? Where are the next stars coming from? SA Emerging got beaten in the Africa Games by teams they should have beaten. And with much respect to Namibia, with much respect to Zimbabwe. My worry is that where's the next players coming from? What's going on? What we need to do? And to a certain extent, we cannot continue to do the same thing we've been doing for the last 15 years. This team strategy has not changed for the last 15 years, and it stayed the same. But the only issue is you find yourself here, stagnant, stale, playing bad cricket and losing to teams you shouldn't be losing to. Yes, you can say, no, it's an aberration because you would have beaten them in East London. You can give me that argument, but what type of cricket are you playing? And for me, Tim, that's my issue with this.
I couldn't agree with you more. Just to add a little bit of context, if you've been watching our podcast from the beginning, we had a chat to Division, who is the SA under 19 coach, and has a lot of work at that sort of level, the level just below the Proteas. She was the coach that took that team to the All Africa Games, and she talked about the fact that there is a huge drop off at that 16 to 18 age group. There is a huge drop off there. The pipeline there is where we need to start finding individuals coming through the system. She mentioned it. It was there 18 months ago. It's still there now. So how much work is Cricket South Africa doing to promote and give us in a pipeline of players to pick from? I agree. We've been saying for weeks now, it's a bit of a stuck record, we've been saying for weeks that it's time for us to say thank you, Hilton, for your services. It's been a fantastic, you've taken our cricket to new heights that we never thought we would achieve, but we do need to move in a different direction. And saying that, I don't think it's there's two things there. So it's not one thing. It's a lack of pipeline. It's a lack of direction with the current Proteas setup. It's several little things that are contributing to the Proteas' current um, static flow.
Hmm.
It's not progressing from that fantastic World Cup final that they
And
achieved,
the many
and,
World Cup
and
semi-finals as well.
and that is a problem. So we know what the problem is. What is Cricket South Africa doing to rectify that? What is it
Mm.
doing in promoting schools cricket and club level, school level, uh, giving the girls a chance to and the young women a chance to play the game? What is being done below the Proteas level? So then, when Mawazan eventually retires, she is going to retire. Who was there to replace her? We've already seen that replacements that we've seen for Shipman Ishmael are not where they need to be. They're not there.
Yeah.
They might be there in 2 years' time, but they're not there at the moment, and that is largely the problem. We've got 3 or 4 outstanding individuals. The rest are finding it difficult in this difficult time.
And look, for my thing is like it's time to give others a chance, right? I know Alex Candler had a good season for the Dolphins. They won the one day cup, the professional league one day cup. Give her a chance. She opened the batting. Faye Tunnicliffe has been in and out of the side. It may be time to relook that. Sinead Filyoun, apologies, I don't know the other side of her double barreled surname. I still know as Sinead Filyoun. She's been doing really well for the Lions as well. So I think it might be time to start giving new options. And obviously, Sinead is not young anymore. But if she's fit enough to play, should be fit enough to get another cap. She last time played for the Proteas over like 15 years ago. She can do that again now, and she's proving that, right? There's many others. You can even go down to the under 19. Simone Lawrence has had a really good season. She's one that looks good. Maybe give her a chance. And so it's things like that where I feel there are many players who are living off of former glories who are not producing now. And I think it needs a bit of a shake up, and in order for us to get that shake up, we probably might need someone else in there. But that's the last I'm going to talk about it for now. Um, Tim, there were South Africans playing all around the world. We know the South Africans playing in the IPL. A lot of people watch that. That's good. Happiness. Enjoy the IPL. But you have a particular thing going on with the county cricket. You've had it your entire life. And so I'm going to defer to Tim's corner and say Tim's county cricket corner starts now. It's a new segment. Let us know what you think. Tim, I haven't been watching county cricket. I know Dean scored 100, and then I think he scored another half century this week for Essex. Simon Harmer did something fancy as well, but that's just in one county. What's going on around the county cricket for the South Africans?
So it's been a sort of a mixed bag. If you look at all the numbers of the players that are involved, but just to sort of break it down for you, um, I'm going to focus on this last round because it's a new segment. So many of you will remember Ricardo Vasconcelos,
Mm-hmm.
way back, Borland player, and another couple of teams. He made 182. He's been a really good
What
find for
county does he play
Northants,
for? Northampton. Mm-hmm.
Northamptonshire. Dean Algar, we knew Dean was going to be exceptional. We knew he still had it. We knew that level just below the international standard, he was going to dominate. There was absolutely no doubt about it.
Mm.
And so it's no surprise. It's no surprise that we've seen 100 from him last week. We saw 79 this week from him playing for Essex. Uh, the man he's got a 3-year contract at Essex. If people don't know, the man is
Mm.
going to score a lot of runs at Essex for Essex. I tell you now, he's going to break lots of records. Just on him, he has now scored 17,000 first-class runs. That's the 22nd South African-born player to do that. So that's and he'll score a lot more, I'm sure. Simon, Simon has just been doing Simon stuff, which he's been doing for Essex for since he's been there now, for the last 5-6 years. Absolutely dominating. Um, Even though players are starting to play him a little bit differently, they're starting to attack him, he's still not getting the wickets. So
Mm.
he's now got 908 first-class wickets, which is fifth on the list of South African-born players. Um, that's all. That's all players. Uh, then we've got Mpho Pretorius. I'm gonna go on a little bit of rant here. Fantastic with the bat. Really, really made 77 this week for
Mm-hmm.
Somerset. Um, but this my worry for him and other sort of not express pace is they find the right links to bowl on those pitches quite difficult because they're not getting the bounce. It's not the lack of pace. It's not they're not getting the bounce that they're used to in the South African conditions. So they're not getting those edges. Caught behind, caught slips, caught a cover, short cover. What's happening is that length that they're bowling in England is just being driven and driven and driven and driven.
So,
So
what
they're not
length
actually.
must you do to adjust? Must you go shorter or fuller?
You have to go shorter on those English wickets. You have to. If you go half volley on those, you're not going to get that bounce. Um,
Mm.
if obviously if it's moving around, then it's slightly differently. Then you change. If uh, you've got to go that sort of back of a length. Um, so he's got a couple of wickets for Somerset this
Mm-hmm.
week, but he is struggling with the bowling department. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
Not bowling badly, just not quite getting it right. Um, who else? And then my boy David Bradham made 138 of 99 balls. Just to put it into context, that was against Jason Holder. So that's an
Okay.
international test bowler, and he just took him apart amongst the whole Worcestershire attack. That's for Durham. Um, he had a couple of starts, the first couple of rounds, 30s and 40s, didn't quite kick on. Always looked good. This week he made a count. Just unfortunately against my county. Um, Obviously
Okay.
there were many. There were many, but
Mm-hmm.
those are the top ones. So what I'm going to do every week is I'm just going to give you a roundup of the week's top performers of South
Yeah.
African players. I'm not going to go to them all because they are too many to mention.
Yeah. Look, the Marshant Delanga Brigade is a lot, and we are thankful for that, Tim. Interesting about Miguel Pretorius, right? But really, also really happy about David Bedingham getting in the runs, especially with the Caribbean in his sights after the World Cup. So that's really good news. Okay, now let's move into the CSA T20 challenge. We've now moved into playoff mode. Last week was playoff mode. Everybody was looking to make the playoffs, semifinals and finals. Teams were looking to get a home semifinal. Some teams were just looking to just get in and be in the party. It's like a club. You get access, you get tickets early. So, like some teams, the Warriors, the Lions, and the Dolphins, you get tickets early. But for Western Province, for Titans, and possibly even Northwest, you get your tickets a little bit later, looking to fight to get in. And that's how great it was this weekend. Okay, let's look at the results and then we'll go through some of those fixtures. The Tuskers started last week in a must-win game against the Rocks. It was going to determine whether the Tuskers got relegated then, or we were going to delay the pain until probably the weekend, and that was last week Wednesday. The Tuskers put up 119 for 9. The Rocks got their 121 for 3 with 7 wickets to spare. Sia Mahima 3 for 17. Imran Manak, who's had quite a good season, 2 for 20. Keegan Peterson coming through at 57 or 43, and Glenton Steedman 1 for 14. That condemned the Tuskers back to Division 2. Then that was the bottom of the table. Then on that night, we had a top of the table clash. This team that won here would have wrestled number 1 and a home semi-final, possible home final in the playoffs. The Lions going to Gqeberha. They put up 152 for 9. Ryan Rickleton scored 52 of 38. Reza 31 of 23. Neelan van Heerden took 4 wickets in that innings against the Lions. The Warriors 109 all out. The Lions won by 43 wickets. Vian Mulder took 4 for 14 in that innings, and the Lions then went 1 point ahead of the Warriors in the log standings, inside track into that home semi-final and final. Then on Friday, we had a slate of 4 games, and Sunday, we had a slate of 4 games. Western Province played the Rocks at Newlands. Was it a poll or Newlands? I think it was a poll. Carl Verena scoring 77 not out of 42, and they're 173 for 4. Fresco Adams took 34 for 23 in their reply of 110. They lost by 63 runs, did the Paul Rocks. Bjorn Hendricks 3 for 18. Onkenyako 3 for 27. So the Western Province still had hold of the number 4 spot at this point in time. The Titans needed to win their next 2 games in order to give themselves a chance at that 4th spot. On Friday, the Tuskers played the Dolphins in KZN at Kingsmead. Tuskers got bowled out for 108. Oguhleqele taking 4 for 13. Another splendid season for him. He should be happy with his return in the CSA T20. Andile Semilani 3 for 21. John Smuts 49 not out of 35. Jason Smith, Tim's favorite cricketer in South Africa, 19 of 10. Dolphins win with a bonus point to secure 3rd spot. And see if they can't go higher on Sunday against the Warriors. The Lions lost to the Titans in the UXK derby on Friday, which opened the door for the Warriors to see if they can't win back for top spot. Reza scored 48 for 35, Temba Vuma 21 of 13, Rivaldo Moonsami 24 of 15, Dan Khalim 26 of 12 in that 2-wicket win for the Titans. It went down to the final ball. They needed 1 to win of 2, and the Titans scampered home. It was a very interesting and entertaining game there at Centurion. The Warriors went to the Northwest to play. The Warriors, went to Potch to face the Dragons. They put up 145 for 7, but the Dragons managed to get there with 6 wickets remaining. Matthew Betska 45 for 35. Gideon Peters, who's replaced Miguel Pretorius, 2 for 28. He's been taking a lot of wickets since he's taken over. He's coming to the side. Vian Libber 39 not out of 25 to help them win that game. And Sean Whitehead, you remember him. He came from Division 2, 2 for 22 in that game. But the Warriors missed out an opportunity to go 1. The Lions still held on to 1 by 1 point. So it went down to Sunday. Warriors needed to win, and they hoped the Lions were going to lose to win top spot. Western Province played the Titans in a pseudo quarterfinal. Winner goes in, loser goes home. And obviously then the Rocks, Northwest, and Tuskers didn't have much to play for but positioning. So the Tuskers played the Lions on Sunday early. The Tuskers put up 132 for 9. Ngaba Yomzipika 3 for 12, 3 for 15. He's had a really great season. He only played 8 games, but he has, I think, I'll give you that number. He has an average of 8.66 and a con rate of 5.3. He took 15 wickets in 8 games in this competition. Well done to him. Bjorn Fortuin 2 for 18. Lutus Pamela 2 for 25. Rossi van der Distance scoring 51 off 35 to steer the Lions home to a 7-wicket victory. That effectively gave the Lions top spot, but obviously it depended on whether the Warriors were going to win by bonus point in Durban. The Rocks then took on Northwest in a damp squib. Clyde Fortuin 51 of 32. Caleb Seleka 2 for 21. Ruben Herman 48 of 30 to cap off an incredible season from him. Renan van Tonda 34 of 26. Another good season for him in T20 cricket in Northwest. So Northwest won by 6 wickets there. Then at Newlands, Western Province hosting the Titans could only put up 113 for 9. Carl Verena 48 of 31. Luandre Pretorius, 52 of 32 for the young man. Junior Dollar 3 for 13. Corbin Bosch 3 for 21, helping the Titans win by 6 wickets and take that last semi-final spot. And then the only thing to play for was who was going to be hosting each other between the Dolphins and the Warriors. The winner hosted the other if they won. and the Dolphins won that right. They bowled out the Warriors for 130 for 8, who are having a horrible back end of the season, even though Jordan Hanman scored 65 or 53. Darren DePavalon, who also gave birth to a new baby this weekend, or his wife did, he took 5 for 20. And then Jason Smith, 41 not out of 26 for the Durban franchise. The Dolphins winning by 7 wickets. Tim, lots of fixtures this last week. How disappointed are you that Western Province couldn't hold on?
Not particularly, because I knew it was coming. I predicted
Mm-hmm.
it at the start of the tournament. I said, unless the access of Tony, Kyle, and
Mm.
Bird were going to be exceptional with the bat, this was always going to happen. And
Yeah.
Tony was non-existent. Jono had a good start to the tournament, and Kyle was reasonably consistent. That's not enough to get through to the semi-finals. They were not
Mm.
good enough. I thought they fought well with the ball. I thought that I cannot fault the bowlers. Even somebody like Nyaku coming in at the
Mm.
back end of the tournament, giving him a chance. He again performed well. Every time he does come in, he performs well. You cannot fault the bowlers. I thought Simmons bowled well throughout the tournament. I thought Bjorn did. It's the batting that let them
Nabe
down.
also bowled well for Western Province.
Yeah,
It just you
yeah,
couldn't. It was hot and cold from a batting perspective, right?
yeah,
One day you could score big runs, the next day you were bowled out, and it
yeah.
kind of felt like that England strategy from back then at the first COVID World Cup, the one in Dubai, where England could either score 200 or they'd be bowled out for 120, and that's what it was. And so you kind of also had that young middle order there at Western Province. But how important it is for the Titans to show their comeback, because I look at it and I'm like, you're looking for at this time of the season, you're looking for momentum, right? Lions have momentum because they managed to beat the Warriors and have a good week, 2 wins in this week out of 3. The Warriors took L's the whole week. Um, the Dolphins won all their games this week. And how important is momentum at this point in time in the thing? And you can see that the Dolphins now ended up at 2. The whole season we're talking about the Warriors being dominant. They went 8-0. They lost their first game. Then they started stuttering and stumbling as they went along. It's T20 tournaments that are very long, that aren't single rounders, bring that. And what happened at the Warriors, Tim?
I think they didn't have that experienced individual within that team to
Mm.
just calm the situation. But they lost a couple. Everybody loses a couple. It doesn't matter if it's a couple. It's not the end of the world. It didn't matter. Those first 2 that lost, it didn't matter a
Mm.
damn. And everybody was still saying that they were going to be finishing first, if not second. Second would have been perfect. It wasn't a worry, but there was nobody. There wasn't a
Mm.
who's their experienced wicketkeeper. Who plays in the other formats. Who should play for South Africa. Come on. Oh, anyway,
For the
there
Warriors.
wasn't yes, there wasn't a
Rudy
experienced.
second.
There we go. There wasn't that sort of character. Thank you. There wasn't that sort of character to just go into the change room and go, boys, calm down. It's only 2
Mm.
games. It's a long tournament. It doesn't matter. We're good enough. They are still good enough to win the tournament from here. But momentum is a massive thing in the Warrior in the T20 format.
Mm.
The other thing is, if you go to personnel, I think they waited too long to bring Whitehead in. I think if they
Mm.
brought Whitehead in earlier, it might have given them a win of one
Mm.
of those last 4. They might have won one of them. Maybe not, but I do think Whitehead should have come in at an earlier stage.
Yeah.
You talk about that sort of experience. Um, But yeah, it's a combination of things.
Yeah, it is a combination of things, and it's not the right time to lose games at the back end of the tournament, and yeah, it just wasn't great for the Warriors. But well done to the Dolphins. Without Bryce Parsons, they're managing to come through. They're finding themselves to becoming one of those. They've somehow now gone back to their old Dolphin selves, where they may not have the big T20 names, but when it matters, they'll pull out a performance. And they've done so over the past week. Jason Smith, John Smarts. I like the fact that they moved Kaizondo to the top of the order. That kind of seemed like a little bit of a masterstroke in helping guys bat around him. Is something that you need. Obviously, everyone will say, but we don't need an anchor. Yes, well, they've got no one else. Bryce Parsons is injured. So you need to find a way to rejig, and they rejigged it well. Their bowling is helping them out as well, the Dolphins. And I think from going into these semi-finals is going to be, I think bowling is going to be very crucial here, especially especially in that Dolphins Warriors semi-final. So it'll be interesting to see how the teams do. But let's have a look at the fixtures, Tim, and then we'll just do a little bit of a prediction there. So 1-4 plays in semi-final one at the Wanderers. The Lions take on the Titans in another game of what happened last week, and a sequel of what happened last week Friday at Centurion. This time it'll happen at the Wanderers. Starts at 6 p.m. Tim, between the Lions and the Titans, what are the keys to the game? The Lions have a power-packed top order. They've got Rickleton, who's like number 5 in the run-scoring charts. So is Reese, number 4 in the run-scoring charts. Reese is number 5. Both have scored over 320 runs in this tournament. They are pro-tier quality. You've got Temba Bavuma, you've got Rassi van der Dissen. You've also got Vian Mulder. It's packed top order. But from a bowling perspective, there's this man, this leg spinner, who I think is a dark horse to get into that playing to the World Cup, because Ngabayomzi Peter has gone out and shown us in the 8 games that he's probably now after Shamsi. So you've got 14, you've got Keshav, you've got Shams, you've got 14. In that little conversation, he needs to be considered going to the World Cup. He's an orthodox wrist spinner, gives you something different to the right-hander. What are you saying to that? He's played really, really well. The Lions fast bowlers are also really good. Obviously, they lost Kwenama Paket, Kagiso Rabada, but they're doing well with Cody Yusuf. They're doing well with Delano. They're doing well with Lutus Pamela. And the Titans, on the other hand, are starting to figure it out. Got a young top order, Stolke and Pretorius. The Spanella Macanya is also having a great season as well at the Titans, scoring lots of runs. They've got Rivaldo Moonsami. You also have, obviously, Corbin Bosch, Dan Khalim, a little bit of experience. And it showed against the Lions on Friday. Is it going to be something different on Wednesday? Do the Lions go back to their old selves and go back to their powerful selves and just blow them out the water?
It's for me. It's a difficult semi-final to predict. It's a difficult semi-final to, because you summed it up pretty well there. For the two teams, so for me, if the Titans want to win, they've got to see off Nakaba Peter. Just see him off. Nothing for 24 is absolutely fine. They can then put the attack on the rest of the bowling lineup, which has been doing well, but now Peter has, and we said it weeks ago. We said it weeks ago when he had his second game on the tournament. We said, find the tournament, and now everybody's saying, what a find, what a find. He's been absolutely exceptional. On the Titans front, if the Lions want to put pressure on, let's get Pretorius out cheaply. Stork hasn't had a great tournament. Get Pretorius out cheaply. That's 2 down for 15. That puts a lot of pressure on the Titans for me. They rely on this tournament. They've relied a hell of a lot on that start from Pretorius to get them going, to get the engine rolling. So people like Makanya can play that natural game. If you then tell Makanya, right, we need to build, it then puts a lot of pressure on him and the rest of the guys, particularly if they play like a youngster like Jack Lees. I'm glad he's been playing. I'm really, really
Yes.
glad he's been playing. They've been finding ways to get him in with visa, which is important. Um, it's a flip of a coin. Uh, it really is. It's very, very difficult to predict. Um, as you say, it's visa versus Mulder. It's Ryan Rickleton versus Alejandro Pretorius. It's
Mm.
um, it's a lot of matchups there. There's a lot of very, very interesting, exciting matchups in that semi-final.
Yes, it's going to be quite an exciting semi-final to see and cover, and it's going to be on there. The second semi-final is the Dolphins taking on the Warriors, the badly spelled Warriors by my side. I do apologize. In Durban, um, can the Warriors arrest the slide, this downward slide in Durban against the Dolphins? They already lost to them on Sunday. Is it possible for them to turn it around?
In this format, yes, and in clear as day, absolutely they can. But the way they're playing, way that they are relying now so much on Jordan Herman to get them to some kind of a total to defend, um, makes it
Mm.
difficult. But they absolutely can. But I'm putting my money on the Dolphins. Even in this, I think they've timed their performances absolutely superbly. They have done the opposite of the Warriors. Warriors went out guns blazing,
Mm.
beating everybody comfortably, and then they hit a wall. The
Okay.
Dolphins started badly. They found their way at the back end
Mm.
of the innings, and they are all contributing. So for me, it's gotta be. Dolphins are heavy favourites, but the Warriors can definitely win.
Okay. Dolphins heavy favorites, but the Warriors can definitely win. I see a Lions Dolphins final at the Wanderers. I think that'll be a very entertaining final. Obviously, if the Dolphins win and the Lions lose, the Titans go to Durban, which is not a happy place for the Titans to go to. So it's not that. But there's also that possibility of the Warriors beating the Dolphins and the Titans beating the Lions, and you have a final in Gqeberha, which is also pretty awesome at St. George's Park. So that's where the final's going to be on Sunday at 2 p.m. We'll be back next week to talk about all the top run scores, the top wicket takers, all of that at the end to recap to close it out. But it's time to put your colors to the mast. We've got 3 more games left in this season. I think the teams need to close it out in style, and I wish them all the best. Tim, do you have any final words to say before we close off this podcast?
No, there was something, but it's escaped me, and I know you have a flight to catch, so all good.
Awesome. Thanks. Good luck to everybody in the semifinals. Good luck to the top 4 teams who made it to the semifinals. Now we're here. Commiserations to the Tuskers for getting relegated back to Division 2. There's been a lot of moves now in terms of where people are going. There's rumors where Keith Dudgeon might be going to and all the likes and many other players. We're going to be talking about that on another episode later on. But remember, what you need to do is follow us on X. Also on the One World Sports YouTube channel, leave a comment there, like, subscribe, do the necessary things that are required for you to know when we're back live on. And on top of that, from an audio perspective, go to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Full Quota Podcast, search for us, and let's build that audio community. Send through your comments and everything else. I might put up a poll on who might win, who you think will win it all out of the top 4 teams here in the CSA T20. It is playoff mode, so it's serious mode. So with that, good luck to everyone else, to all the teams playing, and goodbye. And sale ka kagiso.